What's up? What is up? What is up, everyone? What is up? How are you all doing? How is everyone? I've not recorded in 2 weeks because I had to defeat coronavirus, and I did it. I came out on top. My antibodies were in there looking like some fucking Mike Tysons left and right, just kicking ass. And I feel good. I hope all of you are doing okay. I hope everyone's doing all right. Well, this should be a unique episode in the grand scheme of things because I was able to digest an album for 2 full weeks pretty much. I listened to the album that I will be going over so many times, probably close to 20 times, maybe not 20 times, probably close to like 10 to 15 times. And I have a guilty conscience when I want to go over an album and on this platform, and I find myself listening to other things. I'm like, wait, there might be something that I haven't caught that I want to go back and listen to, and just in case there's other things that I don't know that I haven't thought about this album. And I had 2 full weeks to do it, quarantined. So I listened to this album so many times, and this album is After Hours by Abel Tesfaye, also known as The Weeknd. This one got me. This album got me. Off first listen, back in March, it is not an album where it is a blow you away off first listen kind of sound. Most of the time, that is a good thing when it's good music, because there are layers to the music that you have to dig and dig and dig to realize how good it is. And I hope, if you have not done this, be able to show you at least some of these. So let's start getting into it. First, let's start with the album cover. Lean back, bloody face, smiling. Same theme as all of the music videos and all of the promotion. My take just resembles a broken man that tries to put a face on. Nothing crazy going on. You can interpret it however you would like. That is just kind of the way that I did. And from a thematic standpoint, I don't know if I've ever encountered an album like this. It is a love story. It is a love album. But unlike most love albums, the theme of this album, from front to back, runs as the person doing the heartbreaking and not from a broken heart standpoint. And I don't think I've heard that. The only theory that I have where I haven't heard that, or the reason I haven't heard that, is really you leave a relationship because for one reason or the other, your emotion draws less and less. So for him to grab an entire conceptual album out of usually what you lose emotions over is strange in a way. Like I just can't think of a time where I've seen, multiple songs layered from front to back where that is the whole entire theme. And it's at some points it's odd to listen to, but it's crazy because like it runs perfectly in line with his whole entire musical catalog. So it would only make sense for Abel to make this album. Now, this album is so interesting from that point of view, and just there's so many layers that I was thinking like we may never get an album like this again. Just how unique all different angles it takes from the theme of the album, the vocals, the production. Everything is so so exquisitely put together that I just don't know. I can't put it in the category of any album that I can think of that I've heard. So let's start getting into some of the production and some of the tracks. The production does play a huge theme on this album. And I'm going to be highlighting a couple producers. But let me get a couple out of the way that I just don't know exactly what their roles in the production aspect of this album is. And some of the guys I do want to point out have a little bit of a bigger name. So those are the ones that I want to run with through this whole thing. But I want to go over a couple of them. One is a man named Dehelia, producer named Dehelia. He was also the one who produced all 3 bonus tracks, Nothing Compares, Missed You, and Final Lullaby, which are 3 awesome tracks of their own. They just don't fit into the story of the album, which is what I'm going to be focusing on. So I'm not going to go over those 3 songs, but he produced those 3, and he has production tracks on production credits on multiple songs on here. Oscar Holter, which is another one. He has production credits on multiple songs as well. I think 5 maybe. And, I'm sure he had a giant role in it. And then a producer by the name of OPN. And he did the score of Uncut Gems, who Abel is also in. So it would make sense that they did a little bit extra work together to put onto this album. So those 3 have multiple production credits. Awesome producers. I'm sure they did wonders for this album. I just don't know exactly where to place them. So I'm sorry if one of you 3 see this and I don't give credit where credit is due, but shout out to all 3 of you guys. Okay, track 1. Let's start this off. The first 4 tracks, I will describe it as a Los Angeles love story split into 2 parts. Track 1, Alone Again. On this track, Abel, who, if you hear me say Abel, is The Weeknd, for those of you who do not know. He brings in a man by the name of Elangelo, who is from Canada, I think Alberta, Canada. Age 20 to 21, 22-ish, moved to Toronto to pursue a music dream. Linked up with The Weeknd and really just built an entire sound that shaped a lot of music, especially a lot of R&B. He has production credits on 23 out of 27 of the original trilogy mixtapes, the first 3 mixtapes that really got Abel signed, put on the map. So he and Abel really built a sound together during the 2010, 2011 years, which I am sure a lot of you are familiar with. And going back and listening to those 3 mixtapes and coming back to this album, it really put in perspective for me that Elangelo's trademark sound is just these giant noises, just intense synths, crazy drums with crazy reverbs on them. He does not hold back on complex production. Like, he just wants to make the biggest sounds that he can, which is so interesting that he was able to link up with a guy like The Weeknd, because you have never heard somebody with that vulnerable of a voice be able to layer noises like this. You go back to Wicked Games and Gone, Initiation, just crazy sounds that he is able to produce and then find a way. And then Abel is able. The Weeknd is able to find a way to just, move around the beat in such a dramatic way. Alone Again is just a perfect example of this. The Weeknd said in his interview with Variety that he was not worried one bit about about his lyrics in this album. The only lyrics that he wanted you and I to know is I don't know if I can be alone again. All other lyrics he had in this album, were just meant to be other sounds and noises to go along with the whole feel and vibe of what you are being introduced to. And I mean, even that chorus of that song is really just the start of an entire thematic point, just a thematic album, really just an entire mindset and cinematic universe that is being created through sounds that The Weeknd is able to make. So he takes this song, just a rocket ship of a song. You know, that rocket that blasted off, was it like a month ago, month and a half, somewhere around there? I would picture that like they are listening to this song as they are blasting off into the outer space. It just builds. Like I was just saying, Alangelo, trademark, just giant noises, bass kicking in. It's just going insane. And it's not about the lyrics. It's not about being catchy. It's just about the whole vibe of the song, which is just giant noises leading you into an entire story that is to come. And it's interesting because the first time I heard this, I thought that once the beat dropped for either the first or the second time, because it switches up multiple times, I thought that he was gonna start rapping, which he does sometimes, and I really thought that it was gonna drop, and then he was just gonna start spitting bars. That didn't happen. And at first listen, I was like a little disappointed because I was like, damn, that, I mean, I love when The Weeknd raps, and that didn't happen. In hindsight, I mean, that just would not have fit the theme. Like this is the intro that was supposed to happen. That leading into track 2. Track 2 is also produced by Alangelo. This beat and chorus, like if The Weeknd is writing these choruses, it is just very impressive because they're so catchy, and he's able to switch up the entire tempo of some of these choruses. Like the first one, just that I don't know if I can be alone again. This one is a whole other groovy kind of sound. And then, the ones later in the album are another different kind of sound, but the level of quality of these choruses are just as good across the board. And there are so many of them are so different. And this one, I mean, the snares and the kicks, starting from the beginning of the song, just The Weeknd in falsetto, builds, and then boom, chorus drops. And I mean, lyrically, we're in the same boat. It's way too late to save our souls, baby. Again, just somebody from the perspective of the heartbreaker. He is able to draw emotions from the way he has treated his counterpart, his female counterpart, and he is able to, just put so many different words into place describing his loss of emotion or his battle of emotion for who he has been with. And it is very interesting hearing some of these lyrics. Like, I mean, not in that sense, in a different sense, going into him being in Los Angeles, worldwide celebrity, probably dating a worldwide celebrity. One of the lyrics that stood out, I think, in the second verse is, sources say we're done. How would they know? We're in a hell. It's disguised as paradise with flashing lights. Sources say we're done. How would they know? I mean, point blank, period. Paparazzi's got to be so annoying, so incredibly annoying, and just all up in your business. And we're in hell. It's described as a paradise with flashing lights. Beautifully describes Los Angeles. You always hear mixed things about Los Angeles. I mean, LA sounds great. Then you have people that have been there talking about it in not such a bright light. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. And something at the end of this song grabbed my attention after a few listens. Something that a lot of people don't talk about within music is punching in background vocals on the last chorus of a song. I mean, it's been happening forever. But no one ever really mentions it, which, I feel like this platform is for me to kind of point little things out like this, just so you can have an idea when you hear something like this. You can be like, yeah, it's not significant as everything, but, it's just an interesting little tidbit. And I think his background vocals at the end of this song just give it one last punch of just a dramatic, tearful just plea as to what he is explaining. So, I don't know if I can really point out if I have a favorite or a couple favorite songs on this album, because like I said, it strings together just as one story. So it's hard for me to point out my favorites. But if I was with, a certain group of people or this and that, like this would be one that I would throw on that is just, it's got all kinds of elements going to it. And I like it. I love this song. I love it a lot. I love this song a lot. So here is the second part of a Los Angeles love story, failed love story. He subs out his hometown boy, the one that he built his sound with, Alangelo, takes him out, brings in a man named Max Martin into the studio to start making to make tracks 3 and to make track 3 with. Max Martin is a Swedish producer. Let me tell you some of his biggest songs. Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears. I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. It's Gonna Be Me by NSYNC. Can't Stop the Feeling, Justin Timberlake. Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. Roar by Katy Perry. And he also did Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd. I'm sure I do not have to explain anything else about this guy to you, but I will. He is just a pop god king. There's probably not a more successful pop producer ever of all time. Maybe some of Michael Jackson's producers, but this guy's discography is absolutely incredible when it comes to number one hits for the past 20 years, 25 years. He just doesn't miss when it comes to creating a hit record. And this is one of the reasons why Abel signed to Republic Records, the record label he's on. I'm sure he had deals all over the place from everybody after the trilogy mixtapes. But he chose Republic because they are known for their pop record. They can build your pop presence within the music industry. And he said that at first. He said one of the reasons why I signed with them is because of what they can do for pop artists. And we know that pop music can make some serious money, but it gives him another lane to express his vocals and to express his talents, which he's been doing since, he signed to the label. Signing with Republic will get you in the studio with somebody like Max Martin. Another artist, Post Malone, also signed with Republic. And everybody knows Post Malone, I think I saw a statistic on the internet from Hip Hop Numbers. Shout out to that Twitter account. Post Malone's last album was 88% singing, 12% rapping from his vocals. So he is obviously taking some sort of pop lane. Don't blame him one bit. Go get that money. Go make that pop music. So, brings in Max Martin. The beginning of this sounds like it is the intro to an anime show. It is just such a soothing, melancholy, just kind of cute noise that is able to be played in the background. And I've seen a couple reactions to this album online, and everybody, including myself, has had the same reaction. A couple bars in, a whole drum and bass kit comes into play. It just crazy drum and bass kicks left and right that it's hard to even keep up with how fast it's moving. And it starts, stops, starts, stops. And it is very difficult to grasp the first few times you're listening to it, how the melodic sounds in the back. I can't grasp exactly what instrument that would be, mixed with the drum and bass drum kit that is being played, just blend together. And then The Weeknd is able to find his way just through the contrast of both of those noises as the beat is as the beat is going on. I mean, it is a whole just like luscious, cartoonish vibe that is built through this song. And it's The Weeknd said it was the last song that he made on the for the album, and it is very interesting, the contrast between the synths in the background and then the way the drums are placed. Lyrically, it falls right into theme with the two previous songs that he made with Alangelo to start the album off. I mean, the title says it all. He is the hardest to love. I've been the hardest to love. It's just the same theme. It's tough to be in his position to make someone else's position even more tough. I mean, it is, the lyrics are very cut and paste. In this second verse, there is a lyric that I want to point out because it is a revolving theme, not only in this album, but pretty much in his entire career. He says, "The house I bought is not a home." Now, he's in a 2011 song of his called 28, he says, "This house is not a home for you." And we will also be bringing this back later in the episode. And, I mean, it's a cliche saying, just describing this house, the physical house is not a home setting. It's just not, it's not, I mean, there's two different words can simultaneously be said together. One is different than the other. This house is not a home. You are not welcomed as much as you think you are. As heartbreaking as that sounds, that is the vibe that he has brought from a 2011 song all the way up to his 2020 album. And, I mean, it's different, themes. 2011, so much more brash, just so much dirtier and so much more toxic. This one, it's like coming to grasps with the fact that like this is really how he feels and who he is. And we will be coming back to this later. The last part of the lyrics is that I want to go over is the melody of the bridge is written so perfectly. I mean, it just flows over the background beat so well. I mean, the way that it is written, whether he wrote it or he had a co-writer in there with him, the way that it is written is just so perfect on the beat that is made. And yeah, great track to continue the story. And we will move on to track 4, Scared to Live. So this is the last part of the last song of the first excerpt of the album. Scared to Live is another Max Martin produced record. So you have you open the album, 2 Langelo records, Hometown Hero, 2 Max Martin records, Pop God. The transition from Hardest to Love into Scared to Live, beautiful. It is wonderful. Now, transitions within songs on an album like this, conceptual album, are lovely. They're great. They're not needed on every single song. There are a couple on this album. You don't need something like, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, which I'm not a Pink Floyd aficionado, but I do know that the transitions on that album is what kind of makes the album. And this transition is wonderful, but they're not needed all the way through. This one is great. Really, I would guess that Max Martin and Abel just sat in the studio, said, we need one of these songs to be just an absolute astonishing display of vocals on a just ballad-esque track. We need to make a song that your vocals reach levels that no one else in music can do. Nobody else can make this record, I don't think. I mean, his vocals reach such strengths in this song. I mean, maybe if you give this song to like Adele, maybe she can be the only one. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I can't think of anyone else that can make this record. It is beautiful. The beat, the production just lets him expand his voice, and thematically or lyrically, it is in the same exact lane. And you don't really hear ballads from this standpoint. I mean, the chorus is, don't be scared to live again. The concept of the song is, I know that I have broken your heart, but don't be scared to live again. Don't be scared to get out there and live your life again. You always miss the chance to fall for someone else because your heart only knows me. Excuse me. You don't hear those kind of things on these kind of ballads, which is what makes it so unique. I mean, that's the word I keep coming back to describe this album. It's just so unique. And it samples a song by Elton John, You Song, made in 1970, off the album Elton John. It doesn't sample. It interpolates it. And the bridge of this song, I hope you know that. I hope you know that. Verse, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind on You Song. And The Weeknd said that he did not even realize that he grabbed that same melody from what he was singing off the Elton John song until after he recorded it. And then he was like, oh shit, I got to give him a writing credit on this. And then saw Elton John somewhere, said, I got a surprise for you, brought him in the studio, played this song, and I wish I was a fly on the wall when Elton John first heard this song. And apparently, the way Abel describes it is that Elton John just lost it. He was like, wow, you're the one, man. You're the one. You're going to be in this game for a long time. So that is an awesome, I mean, hey, let's get an Elton John the Weeknd song. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Yeah, that I would have loved to have been in that studio when he was showing Elton that song for the first time. And he performed this song on SNL. Saw that it was a new Weeknd song performed on SNL. Had to stop what I was doing. Was in a bar. Had to stop what I was doing. Go click the first 5 seconds of the performance, and he just starts belting out. And I was like, okay, this is obviously not the setting to listen to this. So the SNL performance was amazing. This song is amazing. It's interesting because this has all the elements of a absolute classic song. And I wonder if it will become one in the future. So we'll see. We will see. But it is great. It is great. And it was needed. I think it was needed on the album and also in the Weeknd's catalog just to have a song like this, a timeless classic song. Going into track 5, we sub Max Martin out. We bring Alangelo back in. Track 5 is Snow Child. Very Toronto-esque, gloomy, just dark piano, just snares layered all over it. Just, you almost feel like you are walking through the rain listening to this record. It is very a Toronto-esque sound. And it really, there's a reason for it. And there's a reason it's called Snow Child. Really describes Toronto. Growing up in Toronto. The song revolves around the contrast between growing up poor in Toronto and then being rich in Los Angeles, but realizing that, he's at 30 years old. At this point, he's done everything he needs to do in LA, and he's trying to get the fuck out at this point. He's trying to get the fuck out and find something bigger and better that's going on than just being rich in Los Angeles. And something that was so awesome to hear in a strange way is that he is still grounded to the artist that he has always been. He started out his career with just some of the grungiest and just R or X-rated lyrics, and that was so interesting. That was so crazy to hear from an R&B voice, but just some of the most drug-themed songs, just, lust, women-themed songs that just said some of the craziest things that not only have I not heard in R&B, but just a lot of music, period. And, he's become this giant star globally, and he starts this song off with, I used to pray when I was 16. If I didn't make it, then I'd probably make my wrist bleed. Now, talk about a controversial line. That's a pretty controversial line. But if you think that he would do anything different, then you are sadly mistaken and you do not know the Weeknd's catalog. This is who he has always been. Always been. It is nothing but bars on here from Abel. I was talking about on the first song, I thought that he was going to start rapping. I wouldn't say this is a full-fledged rap from him, but you talk about bars. He's got bars. And I love when Abel's got bars. Walking in the snow before I ever made my wrist freeze. Fire. Cover girls jumping out the page like they pop-ups. Fire. And then, the whole first and second verse is all just, laced with just dope bars. Dope bars. The chorus starts off as, Cali was the mission, but now I am leaving. So another full circle moment, which is crazy that he's doing this with this album. He has a song from 2011 called The Morning. a wonderful, wonderful song. In it, he has a lyric saying, Cali is the mission. Obviously, he made this song while in Toronto. I think Langelo made this one. And, I mean, you can just imagine that he just had a dream and a vision, like, I'm going to blow up and I'm going to move to Los Angeles and buy a mansion and just party my ass off and have a fucking fantastic time out there and just be the man out in Los Angeles. We are 9 years later. He has done that and completed that and realized that that is not what he wants to be doing anymore. From a relationship standpoint, from a drug standpoint, from a party standpoint, he says, Cali was the mission. Now I'm leaving. I'm leaving into the night. Another couple bars that he has in that second verse. Got me moving dirty like I'm Swayze. All my diamonds dancing like I'm Swayze. I mean, that's a solid Dirty Dancing reference if you ask me. And bringing it back to this house is not a home. On the bridge of the song says 20 mil mansion, never lived in it. I mean, perfectly explains it. Was able to buy $20 million mansion out in Los Angeles. Can't sit still and build a home within it. Always on the road, this and that, this and that. There's a struggle in every tax bracket. So this song is coupled with the next song. Track 6, Escape from LA. Now, we're sticking with Langelo, but then we bring in the Swiss Army knife of the record. We collab Langelo, insert Metro Boomin. I am sure you know who Metro Boomin is. If you don't, Mask Off by Future, Father Stretched by Hands, Kanye West, Congratulations by Post Malone, Bad and Bougie by the Migos, the entire What a Time to Be Alive project, he's done so much music with 21 Savage, just a ton of music, and his absolute trademark is his pristine electronic drums that he is able to create. There is no one else you want to do the drums on your record than Metro Boomin. The guy is a mastermind on the beat machine. And the way that Abel uses him as a key component on this album is so, so genius. Escape from LA. Obviously, the title explains exactly what is going on. Couple thumps introducing the song, introducing the beat. Brings in the lyric. Song drops. It's an interesting song to put Metro Boomin on because it is such a subdued track. But if you listen to the drums on this song, it's totally understandable that Metro is the one that laced him. I mean, it's just wonderfully, wonderfully put. And it is, like I just said, it is interesting because it might be the most one of the more subdued tracks that I've heard Metro do. When I listen to this song, I mean, this sounds like just a straight up Los Angeles celebrity breakup song. I mean, it just describes so much bullshit that comes with the public image, being a celebrity in Los Angeles, so many models running around. I mean, so much shit that's being thrown in your face. Paparazzi, hosting parties, this and that. I mean, it's crazy. I'm sure he's not with a woman who is just working a regular job. The unfaithfulness that'll come with it, the lust that is surrounding the city, that it just, all of that is put into one track. And I mean, he's just saying that, going through a breakup, this or that, and he's just trying to escape from the city. It's just a big small town that's just haunted with just bad decisions at every turn, is what I get from this song from him. So I mean, the song has two parts. The whole first part that I just described. The second is just a setting of him in a studio, and he is able to have a woman come through and have sex with her in the studio. And this just describes, I think that I interpret it that he was just describing just one of many just grungy Los Angeles moments. Just this is something that would just happen out in LA. You just a model girl comes through the studio and, hooks up with you. And I mean, just, you don't like her that much, probably don't even know her that well. But this is just one thing that just describes the LA entertainment scene to me, from somebody who's never even been to LA, very well. And it's an interesting part of the song. Maybe from a critical standpoint, you would hope that a 6-minute Weeknd song is just a giant, like one of the songs on this album, but also like multiple songs that he's had. I mean, you got Gone, The Party and the After Party, Heaven or Las Vegas, The Zone, just giant tracks that you can do, like, that are just staples within their projects. And this song does seem a little bit like a bridge to go from one part of the album to the other, which that is what it, I mean, Escape from LA. But I can't criticize him because, like, that's what this song is meant to be. This song is meant to be an airplane ride from LA to the next part of the album and to the next setting of the album, which we go to, which is Las Vegas. Track 7, Heartless. You stick with the two, Elangelo, Metro Boomin. Let Elangelo lay the crazy giant electronic noises that he's mastered for the past 10 years, and then you bring in Metro Boomin to lay the best drums that you're going to get in the world. That is what the Heartless beat is. I mean, it was the lead single of the album. You got brashness everywhere. It is just some crazy shit, and starts that joint off, never need a bitch on what a bitch needs. That's that shit that I like. You need that. You need that kind of stuff in the music industry. You need that arrogance. You need that. The music video is also very telling. Starts off in Las Vegas. It starts off right outside Caesar Palace. Him and Metro Boomin just walking around all kinds of fucked up, this and that. Betting, casino, shooting craps. It is. It describes exactly where we are going to. The first 4 tracks, just complicated love story, into a breakup. Now we're out in Las Vegas, getting over a girl, partying your ass off, and now we're here. Something very interesting that caught my eye in this music video was there was a moment that he was had a toad in his hand and was staring at it very intensely, and licked it, and then had some a few seconds worth of psychedelic moments, which is very resemblant, and really the only thing that it could mean is just resembling him doing DMT, which is the most psychedelic drug that you can come across. I believe that is true. And it would be very interesting if that played a part in the creation of this album, because there have been multiple entertainers, whether it's singers, directors of movies, rappers, whoever, that have mentioned that being played a part in some inspiration with their creative endeavors. So it would be interesting to hear him expand on, or whoever expand on that part of the music video, because that was definitely somewhat interesting. And so at the end of the music video, he's just running down the street and then just throws up, which, you partied too hard. You've been going too hard. That's what happens when you party too hard. So Heartless, first track while we're out in Las Vegas. Now we lead into track 8, Faith. And this song is so interesting. And this is the only song on the album, which The Weeknd said in his Variety interview, that is not based on in real time. This song is based in 2013, 2014. But he said he always wanted to make this song since then, and this was the perfect time and place to do it, and where to put it in, because the theme is somewhat of the same. So this is the only one that is not exactly here, but it is a part of the same theme. You have the same production team, Alangelo and Metro, and the sounds are the vibrations of the beat are very similar to Heartless. The instruments are the same, but kind of the flow of the beat is the same, which would make sense because it's the same two producers who got together on it. And this, some of this album dives into him battling addiction with drugs and partying and having access to a very rare and insane lifestyle. And sometimes you think that an entertainer can kind of play that card just to show that he has access to these moments that nobody else does, and then it can it can be overwhelming and kind of overtake him. But some of the lyrics in this song really, you have to really be going through some addiction issues with our addiction troubles to be able to know that, to be able to think of things that he says in this song. And yeah, the beat is awesome. Starts off very calm, and then the bass kicks in so fucking hard. He said that time in his life was a big rock star era of his that he is not proud of. He got arrested in that time, 2013, 2014, in Las Vegas. I think he had battery somebody at a hotel, something along those lines. And going back to the drug/addiction part of this album, he starts off this song, the first 3 or 4 lines, he mentions weed, cocaine, Molly, and lean. So you start the song off with 4 substances that are abusable if you're not careful. And yeah, the beat is eerie. Maybe my favorite part of this album is that second verse when he comes in, and the beat is building again. We've seen this before from Alangelo. And that part where he says, "And if I OD, I want you to OD right beside me. I want you to follow right behind me. I want you to hold me while I'm smiling, while I'm dying." You cannot write those lyrics and not have those kind of thoughts and feelings. That is very scary. That is some scary shit. And I hope that the people around him are helping. I hope everything is going okay with him, first and foremost. And then from a musical perspective, the drums are slapping out of controllably during that part. The first like 10 times I heard this song, I was like, I mean, that shit was that beat drop into the second verse and everything was so hard. And then I like started really listening close to what he was saying. I was like, fuck, dude, fuck. That is. I actually watched someone with addiction issues who is sober now talk about that line, and he was like, dude, fuck this, fuck that line, fuck all that, fuck. He was like, this song is too much. And that's what I'm saying. Like if you can have an impact on somebody like that, then I mean, you are somewhat a part of that world. And I mean, it's definitely scary. Definitely scary. I mean, I just love the second verse of that song so much, and it's short, but you don't want it to be dragged out to where it doesn't have as much of an impact that it does. So, I mean, this is one of the most interesting and could be one of my favorite songs on the album. The last minute or so is an outro, and it describes, or not describes, but it has sirens playing in the background, and his opening lyrics to that second part say, I end up in the back of a flashing car with the city shining on my face. The lights are blinding me again. And then we go into track 9, Blinding Lights. It only makes sense to have that outro there. And I would guess, obviously I don't know, but I would guess that, they kind of laid everything out. You have 3 straight tracks of Elangelo and Metro Boomin, and then the next 3 tracks are all Max Martin and his team. So I would guess that they said, let's have some kind of light interlude to get from this one part of the album to the next, pop part of the album. And this, that I would guess that is a major part of playing that or putting that interlude in there. So track 9, Blinding Lights. There's no way you're watching this and you haven't heard Blinding Lights. It is just, I mean, a giant record. I love the song. How can you not love the song? It's not my favorite kind of music. First time I heard it, I was like, yeah, going number 1, giant, absolutely giant. Andy teamed up with Mercedes, I believe, and did a whole, promo with them for this song. Also, throwback to the Snow Child bar. I just signed a new deal with Mercedes. It all is playing the same part. We are in one moment of Abel's life in this album. I mean, obviously the 80s synths, what everybody is kind of comparing it to, just are beautifully placed, almost surgically placed. Like it sounds so perfect the way that the synths are put into the song. And then in the chorus, he mentions Sin City, and which is nickname for Las Vegas. That's where we are. I mean, we're in obviously he has had his ups and downs and battles with the city of Las Vegas. And I mean, I couldn't imagine being in your 20s and having access to Las Vegas with no issue getting there or getting back, or, having the time of your life over there. Yeah, I mean, lyrically, it's not as potent within the love story, but it's a fire record. And he actually said, he was like, did I go too far on this record? Like, did I make it too pop and just throw it back to the 80s too hard? That's not exactly what he said, but he was like, did I go too far? And obviously not, because it's breaking Spotify records, I believe, or at least climbing, historic charts for them. And it went number 1 fluctuating back and forth from number one. I mean, it spent a lot of time number one on the Billboard charts. It's a giant record. A giant, giant record. Track 10, In Your Eyes. Same kind of feel as Blinding Lights, as in just a giant 80s-esque record. I mean, if he released In Your Eyes as the single instead of Blinding Lights, I believe that it would have done very similar numbers in regards to charting, and it would have done. I mean, it's such a good song. It was the single that they kept for the album to drop. So like some promos were like, listen to After Hours Now by The Weeknd featuring the song In Your Eyes. Like that was the song that they were pushed once the album had dropped. And I mean his melodies on this are awesome. Another amazing chorus, which is just, I don't think he's missed on one chorus this entire album. And, you know, I think this does fit more into the theme of the relationship. And it's just another 80s banger. And I love it. I love it. Let's see. Yeah, he's really focusing in on getting back in contact with the girl who has played the other side of this entire story. And he's really saying, you lie to my face after all this time, but I'm not going to let it play a major part into where we are and what we have going on right now. Obviously, things are shaky. Obviously, I've fucked up. You've fucked up. I've probably fucked up more. But you're going to lie to me about some stuff that you've done or just this or that. But I'm not going to let it play a major part or be anything absolutely groundbreaking in what I am trying to accomplish going from here forward. That's at least how I interpret it. I'm sure there's an even deeper meaning, this or that. But that is just at least how I interpreted the chorus of it. Let's see here. Yes, the trumpet at the end of this song goes bananas. I mean, somebody, I don't know who, just comes in and lays a trumpet outro that just puts an absolute cherry on the top of this song. And to have Blinding Lights and In Your Eyes back to back on the track list, I mean, that is like you have to take a deep breath after you listen to Blinding Lights, and then this beat comes in immediately after, and you're like, oh my God, another one. Yeah, makes sense that it's from the same production team and everything, from the Pop King himself. Track 11 is Save Your Tears. At this point, we are getting into falling back into the wanting to be back with his lover / ex-lover. The chorus describes that moment of him really saying, save your tears for a rainy day, because I want to stay. I want to keep doing this. You don't have to cry over what we're doing and what I've done to you and everything along those lines. I want to stay. It is, the melodies of it are nice. And from a slight critical perspective, if there was a dip in this album, maybe this would be it. Not too much going on from a production standpoint. Very personal lyrics to start the song off, to start the first verse off. I see you dancing in a crowded room, kind of describing a moment that it sounds like he experienced. But maybe I'm only thinking that because this follows Blinding Lights and in Your Eyes, which are just two giantly produced records. There's just so much going on there. And then this one, which is also produced by Max Martin, follows those two, and it's just a slight dip from a subdued sound. So yeah, I mean, I like the song. I love the chorus. I love his melodies on the chorus. It's beautifully written, and like I said, I think this is also a little more personal record from like a moment standpoint, but it definitely falls in line with the theme of the record. The chorus is explaining, take me back, I want to stay, save your tears for another day. I mean, we've gotten to a point now where it's, okay, you know, I went through a breakup, I did my little party phase to try to get over you, I'm not, let's try to work something out. All right, track 12. Now, stay with me. I know we're deep in this album, but stay with me because shit gets a little wild from here on out. So, this is the only record that is not produced by Metro Boomin, Max Martin, or Langelo on the album. And it is considered the interlude. I looked up the exact musical definition of an interlude, and it just said something, or not musical definition, but just the definition. It said just getting you from one place to another. And it's interesting that he named this the interlude. It does have a wavy feel to it where it's not crazy, you know, production like some of the Max Martin stuff. And I mean, I can see why he put it right here, but this tells the interlude is a part of the story, and it is very in play to be some people's favorite song on the record. So this record is produced by a man named Kevin Parker. Kevin Parker owns a musical project, which a musical project is you play the instrument and you do the vocals. You do everything within the sounds and band and everything, and then you go on tour with other tour mates, and they help you, play what you created. Do you know what his musical project is called? It is called Tame Impala. You tap Tame Impala for the interlude of your album? Are you fucking kidding me? That is why you go to Republic Records. That is why you are a rare breed in the music game. You tap Tame Impala for the interlude. Nobody else is going to do that. I mean, it is a very psychedelic feel going on, which I think played a part in why they were naming it, or why he put the interlude on the end of it. Very soothing background vocals from Kevin Parker. Also has writing credits on this, and I'm guessing that the voices at the beginning of the song is Tame Impala. And then just an off the charts drum pattern kicks in from him, which, yeah, I mean, listen to this drum pattern and then compare it to the 3 that Metro Boomin produced. You can tell they're from different musical worlds, and it's super interesting. So Kevin Parker just laces the beat with his very Tame Impala-esque psychedelic sounds coming from everywhere. And then from a lyrical perspective, this is just such harrowing lyrics. I mean, starts it off. You don't love him if you're thinking of me. You don't love him. You're just fucking him. And that means nothing to me. That is some grown man shit. I mean, what else can you say? It is yeah, man, that is gritty. That is gritty. And that's people experience those kind of feelings in life, but to be able to put it in motion on a song like this, and then some people sit back and think like, wow, I have felt that exact same way before. I just never even knew that it could be described. Like, that's just how detailed this moment is. And it's a testament to his writing. And then he brings it back, repeat after me, and then he keeps saying it over and over again. You don't love him. You don't love him. And it is almost like he is trying to hypnotize her in a slightly creepy way. I mean, he is trying to convince her that the other man is nothing to her. And that is, take that how you want it. Take that how you want it. The outro of the song, just, crazy, just zips of psychedelic noises, I'm guessing Tame Impala placed in there. And I mean, that is an awesome track. That would hit some people. I'm sure that track hits some people hard when you really listen to the lyrics. So now we get into the last two tracks of the album. Track 13 is the title track, After Hours. We bring it back home, The Weeknd, Alangelo. Let's go in. Let's make the most grandiose apology that we can to end this entire journey that we've been on. I mean, this is a trilogy-esque moment. And not from a lyrical standpoint, but just the entire production plus the way the way The Weeknd is able to fit into these crazy pockets on a gigantic electronic record. I mean, they put no rules on this song. It's a 6 minute plus track, 2 minute intro, 2 minute outro. And the beat, again, just builds, but this one's a little different. This beat builds very, very minuscule leading up. It's lo-fi. The vocals are blended in with the production, which is on purpose, I would guess. And there is little parts within the intro that play a big part in the main part of the beat. So you have this little part of the beat that starts at the beginning and runs through, but the other instruments are changing throughout the entire song. But there's one certain dun 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 dun, dun that keeps playing through the whole thing. And anytime I hear that from now, like at this point, I'm just like, okay, I know what is about to go down. I mean, you got synths warping everywhere. And at first listen, I really had no idea like what was about to drop, but dude, it drops so insanely hard. And it is one of my favorite moments on the album. And I just thoroughly enjoy blasting this song as loud as I possibly can in my car driving. I mean, you got a monster bass line. And then after the drop hits for a solid 4 bars, I believe, just cuts. Abel in falsetto comes in, and then boom, beat drops again, and Abel is just floating through the entire track on this giant electronic production. I mean, this really is a redemption / apology moment for him after everything that he has described in the past 12 tracks leading up to this. And it's, the chorus says, where are you now when I need you most? I'll give it all just to hold you close. I'm sorry that I broke your heart. I mean, he's laying it all out on the table. It is very vulnerable. Very, very, very vulnerable. That is the theme throughout the main part of the record. Then we get to the outro, and he has a bridge on the outro part of it, where he says a reoccurring theme that he's been saying throughout his entire career. We start on 28, but now he says it in a more mature way. We start at 28 back in 2011 on the song 28. He says, this house is not a home. Hardest to love. He says, the house I bought is not a home. Snow Child, bought a 20 mil mansion, never lived in it. Describing this moment describing this theme that these houses that he's living in is not a home setting for me and for the women that I have been with. Now he comes back. He thinks he's found love. He wants to be with this woman. So he ends this last part by saying, this house is not a home without my baby. We have come full circle. We have come full circle on his theme from 2011 being a nuisance in the Toronto streets to now realizing exactly what he wants. That is a beautiful, beautiful part. And this song is just a perfect example of how unique The Weeknd's music is. I mean, before 2010, nobody was making songs like this, where it's just crazy electronic production and just angelic voices on top of it, mixed with the insane lyricism that he brings to the table. I love this song so much. I love this song so much. The way I interpret this is the title track, After Hours, was more of his outro to the love story that he's been explaining from the beginning of the album, or the broken love story. And this track 14, Until I Bleed Out, is the outro to a whole moment in his career, but mostly focused on the addictive drug issue that he has been dealing with. This song is produced by Metro Boomin and OPN. OPN is also has production credits on the interlude, and I mean, pretty radical production. Just crazy stuff going on. But I mostly want to focus on the lyrics in this album, in this song. I mean, some of his lyrics are very telling and just a cry out for help. And also, I was wondering, why make a music video for this song? Because the music video dropped maybe 2 weeks after the album dropped for this song. And it wasn't a hit single. I mean, it's the outro, so it's not like a staple in the, like in the middle of the story where it's like a giant record. It doesn't even have a verse on it. It just has a chorus and a pre-chorus and an outro. And so I just started to dig a little bit and really try to figure it out. And in the song, he says, I can't move. I'm so terrified. I don't want to touch the sky no more. I don't even want to get high no more. And that reminded me of the track that he opened his career with, which is High for This. And he was on the flip side of this theme that he is talking about on Until I Bleed Out, saying, "Trust me, girl, you want to get high for this." And that is from the opening track of House of Balloons. So what I get from this is that he is still stuck in all of these addictive vices, whether it's with women or with drugs, and he is still within this realm and within this world that he has been in since his first mixtape and his first project, House of Balloons. Where does the music video take place? Within a house full of balloons. Creativity. That is how you tell a story musically. I mean, in the video, he becomes paralyzed inside of a house full of balloons with a party going on. And he has there's two Abels within the music video. One of them is paralyzed within the party. The other one is able to escape from the party to just a desert by himself. And then just pumping out the lyrics, "Until I bleed out, until I bleed out, until I bleed out." And now he has fully pushed everything away. He is fully done with all of it. So now what does that make him? Alone Again. Track 1. A Revolving Door. And that's the end of the story. What a conceptual album. Just so much storytelling that you have to really listen to in order to understand it. It's not just an easy, hit after hit album. It's very surgically put together exactly how he wanted it and exactly how he wanted to tell the story. I am a huge fan of this album, and I love the way he put it together. I love the beginning, the first 4 tracks, telling his side of his story. I love how he brought Metro Boomin in to build that bridge going from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. I just thought that was such a brilliant chess move on his album that he was able to do that. And then you got Max Martin come in, 3 straight tracks, and then you end the album with the interlude, After Hours, mega song, mega title track, and then Until I Bleed Out, which brings everything from the beginning of the album and the beginning of his career into a full circle moment that is just telling us that he's in a revolving door that he hopes gets slowed down soon. That's really all I have for this one. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot about this album. I sure did. I had a lot of time to listen to it, and I still listen to it, and I will still continue to listen to it. And he released the deluxe. Had 3 awesome songs. Slightly fit the theme of the album as well, but there's a reason why they weren't on the original track list, because these 14 were very tight knitted into the same exact theme. And I had a great time doing this one. A lot of crazy stuff going on, and I hope you all enjoy this. I hope you enjoy the album, and I hope to talk to y'all soon. Have a good one.